One of the most pressing questions for the thinking person is the following. Are most of the events in the world random, or are they regular? But we do not know the answer because we do not have the information. Was it by chance that conditions were created on Earth under which the cell arose and humans came into being? Are epochal scientific discoveries random? Is it by chance that prophets or science fiction writers predict these discoveries long before they occur? What takes science fiction writer Herbert Wells? What fate do you think awaited a boy from a rather poor London family, where his mother worked as a maid and his father worked part-time playing cricket until he broke his hip? Alice? The boy began to earn his bread early and learn the harsh realities of the world. With 3 or so, where did he get the urge to write and dreams of a new world of unseen discoveries? Was he a dreamer, a fantasist, a soothsayer, or... So Herbert Wells, born in 1866. Here are the highlights from around that time. The Civil War was winding down in the States. In Russia, the Tsar was giving the serfs their freedom. In China, the Opium War was winding down. The world is developing chemistry. New synthetic materials are created. And a little later, the fundamental Mendeleev's table of elements appears. By the beginning of the new century, our hero, Herbert Wells, has managed to complete his studies and become a writer. In 1895, then he publishes his first novel, The Time Machine. Then comes out The Island of Dr. Moreau, which only now we can appreciate at face value because people have already begun to clone animals. I immediately note that the writer created 40 fantasy novels, and many predicted something incredible ahead of academic science. In The Time Machine, the author raises the question of the 4-dimensionality of space, which science has not yet been able to verify or disprove. War in the air, based on the description of flying technology, and of course it is used for wars and enslavement. Here also the anticipation of lasers as death rays. Note that Herbert fought openly for peace all his life, and even got on a blacklist drawn up by the Nazis. In case Britain was captured by the Wehrmacht, he was to be arrested. The novels, The Atomic Bomb, and The World Liberated also predicted the creation of weapons of unprecedented power, which seemed to be a scary story for adults, but 30 years later the world heard about Hiroshima, and Wells' works became not just a scary read. There is no sense to list all the books of this prolific author. There are many predictions: laser, tanks, VCRs. With the creation of a new man with the help of bioengineering, we must admit that H.G. Wells believed that people should be controlled and modified for the greater good. But let us dwell on another important point, for we are just approaching this stage of development. A new order, a new world, a new religion. And Herbert H.G. Wells invented word brain. H.G. Wells was an active politician, devoted many works to sociology, and hoped that people in the future would unite into a single state, without kings, borders, or nationalisms. Nonsense, you will say. A perfect utopia. However, Herbert Wells was not a simpleton. He traveled extensively, visited Moscow, met Lenin, argued with Joseph Stalin, which he later wrote about in an article for the magazine New Statesman. His views are not idle chatter. He knew Winston Churchill, socialized with cutting-edge writers like Bernard Shaw, Gilbert Chesterton, and Bertrand Russell. In short, to call his ideas nonsense is too flippant. Yes, we are back to the question, randomness and regularity. Was Herbert Wells a dreamer with an irrepressible imagination, or, to put it in modern terms, an insider? Look, he had ties to the British Rothschild clan. That's a fact. And his son became an official British intelligence officer. That's also a fact. That's why some researchers say that Wells is an ideologue of the new elite. His books are very close to the ideas of globalism and the transformation of humanity, and to unite peoples, our author envisioned the use of a certain religion, a certain world brain. We will not describe in detail this powerful tool. Agreed, the internet with the web and access to information banks looks like the first step to the creation of such a brain. Yeah, he's not what you'd call a simpleton. Will it take his foresight about the division of people into two peoples on different rungs of the social ladder, elite and commoners, Eloi and Morlocks? Look around you. Here they are, the elite gentlemen in the Kremlin and in Kiev, whose children are vacationing in the Emirates, squandering millions on one party, while their classmates are dying on the front lines. This is not even a war of peoples of different nations. No, it's the games of the elites for which the plebs bleed. Hundreds of thousands of lives, just a tribute to ambition. But let's not talk politics. What allowed HG was to envision the future, a connection to some kind of information field that Tesla spoke of, or communication with the powers that be. Shortly before his death, and Herbert Wells had diabetes for a long time, he spoke quite sharply about the dark future. In the preface to his novel, War in the Air, he stated that his epitaph should be the phrase, "I warned you, you damned fools." It's "I told you so, you damn fools." 80 years later, we are on the brink of atomic war. How long is it until doomsday? And more importantly, why? Is it an accident or the habitual desire of us humans to turn away from danger and not think about the bad things? It's the rulers, the elite, who should be thinking, right? After all, they are our faithful servants, servants of the people. Are you sure that this is true? That we know the truth about everything? Think about it. Discover phenomenal individuals and incredible yet real events on this channel.